Hello and welcome back to yet another video of our KMM series, and this is going to be the third part of our weather application. So basically till now what we have done is that we implemented fetching the weather data for a specific location, and then we implemented user location. And in this specific video what we will do is that we will implement the forecast screen, right? So let's just get started. But before getting started, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe and let's just get started. Okay, so till now what we have done is that we implemented the basic functionality, and now what we need to do is that we need to implement the forecast, right? So for a forecast, what we will do is that we'll use the 5-day weather forecast API of our OpenWeatherAPI. Okay, and then over here you can see that it contains this information. Then we have latitude, longitude, and app ID. And you remember that we added like this for the weather as well. And that's it. If you want, like if you have any other stuff, you can also use that stuff as well. And what we will do is that over here we'll get over here, and then we'll just copy this response JSON that they provide. So let's just get that. Okay, and the reason for copying that is because I'll need it to create the model for my class. So I'll get over here to the common section, and inside this model I'll create, right click, get Kotlin data class to this, and then I'll just paste everything over here, right? These are lines that I just won't get rid of. Okay, now you can see I have everything there, and what I'll do is that I'll name it as forecast response. Okay, so let's just generate that. And once you generate that, it will create a couple of classes. There's just one problem with this, that it basically didn't created anything for this. So I'll just name it as data forecast. Okay, or maybe you can call it forecast data. Okay, so that's one thing. And the second thing is that you'll see that it will be referring to some other classes with along with X. So just get rid of those. The reason it create another class is sometime if you have like the response that is using the same objects, and you create it, basically create the same class but just add an X to it. Okay, and we don't want that because we already have those classes. So what I'll do is that I'll just delete all those classes that have X at by the end, and just get rid of those classes. And once you do that, you will get these things, and then I guess we are done. Okay, over here what we will do is that we'll call this forecast data. Okay, and now let's just rename this file as well. So this is going to be something like this. Okay, so now we have this thing done. A couple of things that are important over here is to add the serializable Kotlin serializable for this. Okay, and make sure that everything that we use is serializable. So once I do that, I guess that's pretty much done. The forecast response is there. Now the next thing that I'll do is that I'll go to my API service, like the network service, and then this network service. But before going there, what I'll do is that I'll do one more thing, and then over here let's just create a simple class and call it constants. Okay, and over here what I'll do is I'll call it API key is equals to something like this. Okay, so that is going to be the key that I'll use. So what I'll do is that I'll go over here to the API service, and whatever API key I used before over here, I'll just get rid of that, and I'll paste it inside the constant class. Okay, you can get this API from your main OpenWeatherAPI. Okay, and now over here you see we have these a lot of confusing thing that we need to fix. So what I'll do is that I'll do a couple of things. I'll add this thing by the end of the API call that I have for the get, and inside that what we will do is that we will call it parameter. Okay, sorry, that is going to be the parameter, and the first thing is API, the second thing is going to be the API key. That's one thing. again another parameter that is going to be unit. Then we need for latitude and longitude, so I'll get a parameter as longitude, and that is going to be this, and then parameter dot latitude is going to be this as well. Okay, so once all this thing is added, what I'll do is that I'll get rid of everything like this, so it will be much easier to read, right? So now this is for weather, everything is there, everything is, it will work exactly the same that it is, right? And one more thing is that let's just get rid of that base URL as well, because uh, we'll have a different API or URL for forecast. Okay, that's one thing. Now the second thing that over here that I'll do is that I'll create another suspend function, and that is going to be get forecast. Okay, and it will also be containing location and lat long. Okay, and what it will return is that it will return the forecast response to us. That's one thing. And then it will be going to be the same thing, but the only difference over here is that it will contain a forecast. Okay, the REST API key will be there, units will be there, latitude and longitude will be there the way it is. So that is the one that is going to give us the results for what we want. So this is done, and the next thing that I'll need is that I'll need to create a forecast screen, because this is going to be the forecast screen that will show everything, right? So what I'll do is that I'll get over here, and then I'll create another UI directory under the UI and call it forecast. Okay, so now over here we'll create a class, and let's call it forecast screen. Okay, this is going to be file, and then it should contain a composable, and let's call it forecast screen like this for now. Okay, second thing we need over here is that we'll create another Kotlin class, and let's call it forecast view model. Okay, and this is going to be getting from a view model, like getting this detail from view model. We also need a couple of things for this, and that is going to be the location tracker, because definitely we need that. Second thing we need is that we need the repository. Okay, and that is going to be the forecast repository, or it's going to be weather repository. So we have this weather repository that we need, right? And along with that, what we will need is that we will need a state for our forecast state. But before doing that, let's just do one more thing. Let's create some sealed classes and call them this. Okay, and this data is going to be, let's make it daily data, and that is going to be the list of forecast data. And along with that, we'll do is that we will call it weekly data, and that is also going to be another list of forecast data. Okay, so that is done. And now over here, what we will do is that we'll create a state, and let's call it mutable state flow, and mutable state flow is going to be forecast state, and the initial one is going to be loading. Okay, so that's one thing, and let's make it a private, and then we will do the next thing that we will do is that we'll call it state as state flow. Okay, and the third function is going to be the get forecast, right? And that forecast is supposed to get some sort of location, and then based on that location it will do some stuff. What I'll do is that let's just do something like this for now. Okay, so we have a couple of things, but right now the data is not available, repository is not available, so we'll just fix that. Okay, so since the repository doesn't have anything, so I have the network that basically network service that basically have this functionality. So I'll do the same thing over here for our forecast. So I'm gonna say fetch forecast, and rather than this will going to be get forecast. Okay, So that is done. And now over here, the first thing that we need is that we will say that state dot value is equals to loading. Okay, that is the first thing. The second thing is that we need to get the location, and for location, you remember that we did last time is that we get current location. Okay, and it is supposed to return a lat long. Now over here, what we will do is that we will say location tracker dot start tracking. Then we will say location dot get location flow dot first, and then we will stop the tracking, and then we will return the, why would I do that? Let's just call location. Okay, that's one thing. So what we will do is that we will call it location is equals to get current location, and then we will do is that we'll go to repository dot fetch forecast, and that then we will call it location. Okay, and what we need is that we will get a response for that, right? So what I'm gonna do is that I'll try catch that, so that like if the response is not received properly, okay, we'll pose as error. And then what we will do is that now the next thing is important, because we want to create some daily data and then we create some sort of weekly data, right? So if I go to this model class that I have over here, you see we have a list of forecasts, right? And each forecast contains this date integer and this date text as well. So what I'll try to do is that I'll get the list sorted first, and then once the list is sorted, I'll um, split it based on the date text. Okay, so let's just do the daily stuff, and let's get back to this over here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is that I'll create a function, call it get daily forecast. Okay, and that is supposed to give me this request, right? And in return, what I'll do is that I'll return list of forecast data. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is that we want to sort this response list that we have. So we will call it sorted data is equals to response dot list dot sort, and I'm gonna say sort by date, right? And then what we will do is that we will say wall grouped data, right? And we will be doing this, and let's just do it by this. So what I'll do is that I'll split the date. Since the date is coming in a format that the first part is date, then there is a space and time, so I'll just split it so that I get the first part of that, and then we'll store that over there. I also need to keep only the keys for that. So what I'll do is that I'll use dt text dot split, right? I'll do the same thing that I did over here. I'll just get the 0th index for that. So I guess that's what we have. Okay, and then over here this is going to be response dot list, not the sorted list. So now what I have is that I have sorted dates for with me, then I have group data that I can get. And the next thing is that what I'll do is that I'll return group data of something like this. Okay, which means is that whatever key that I have for the 0th index, that is going to be the first one in term of sorted. So this will return the data for that. Okay, and next function that I want is that I want to do that for weekly, and for weekly what we will do is that we'll just group it. Like we will first what we will do is that we will sort it, right? That is going to be dt. And then what we will do is that we'll group it, and then we will return the whole grouped data to this. Okay, and what it requires that it should return map for string forecast. Okay, and sorry, list of forecast. Okay, that's something that it should return. Okay, so now we have daily forecast, then we have weekly forecast, but the problem with this one is that it contains this list like a map, so we need to convert that. But for first, what we will do is that we'll get some daily data, and then we'll get the weekly data. But for weekly, what we will do is that I'll map, and for after doing map, I'll just get the first of all those. Like for every list item that I have, I'll just get one. So this way I'll get the only one value out of it, right? And then we can just what we will do is that we will forecast the data into this response and then store it like this. Okay, so pretty much done with that. And now let's just see if the thing or the stuff that we have done basically works as well. But before that, we need to do some sort of screen implementation, because right now we don't have anything over here. So the first thing that I'll do over here is that I'll create a factory, as you know, and that is going to be location tracker, sorry, factory. That is going to be remember location tracker factory. Okay, and then we need to define the location tracker accuracy as well. So that's one thing. Second thing is that I'll create this, but we need to get make sure that it doesn't decompose recompose every time this thing is done. And the third thing is that we will bind that location tracker as well, so that if there is any permission related stuff that we need, that's one thing, right? And then we will just use the view model, and that view model is going to be a forecast view model, right? And you just import it like this. Now what we will do is that we'll create a state, perfectly fine. And once the state is done, we will do is that we'll just create this thing. So if there is like but just one more thing that I'll do over here is that I need to wrap everything inside a column, because I don't want things to go like in different direction when we create that. And over here we'll just modifier dot max fill size, and then we will have some sort of vertical arrangement and then horizontal arrangement as well. So now I'll just press alt enter, and then I'll just import everything that I have. Okay, that's one thing. And then once there is this loading section, we'll do is that we'll create column, and inside that column what we will do is that we'll create a circular progress indicator, and then we'll also have a text that shows loading. For error, we'll just create a simple text with the error message. Okay, error occur, right? And in case of the forecast data, because now we have this data, so we'll just do something like this. So we'll have this thing, but over here what I'll do is that I'll call it forecast. Let's just create another view model, sorry, another composable over here, and call it a composable forecast screen content. And this is going to have a column scope, so we'll just use this. And now this column scope, what we will do is that over here I'll create a lazy raw, right? And this lazy raw should contain the data, but just we need to do one more thing, is that we need to pass daily forecast and weekly forecast to this as well. So just for import those, And now this lazy row should contain something like this, and we'll just import that. Okay, so now we have the data. What I'll do is that for now, let's just create text, and that is going to be the date, and along with that text we will do is that we'll show the temperature. That's one thing, right? And the second thing is going to be, we will create a lazy column beneath that, and it should contain something like this. So we'll have two different kind of list. One is going to be the vertical and one is going to be horizontal. And now what I'll do is that I'll just use this over here and I'll pass this data to this. So pretty much a lot of things that we have done. Now what we need to do is that we need to test, and right now we don't have any mechanism on which how we basically we can like navigate from one point to another. So what I'll do is that I'll need to integrate navigation as well. If you want to integrate navigation, what you'll do is that we'll go back to this build.gradle file, and over here we need to add this dependency for navigation. So basically what I'll do is get over here and add this. Okay, so this is basically a compose navigation, and we'll just sync this. Okay, so once that is done, I'll get over here and then I'll just cut this. Okay, so now what we need to do is that we need to integrate our navigation. Okay, so to integrate navigation, what we need is that we'll create a nav controller first, and we'll call it as remember nav controller. Okay, second thing we need is that we need a nav host. Okay, so this nav host basically gets two different parameters. First is nav controller and the second is the start destination. Start destination is basically the point which like the kind of a screen or composable that you want to draw first on your screen. So if I use this basically this is the nav controller that I created, and the start destination is going to be the key of home, and the keys should be defined over here. So like you see, this route is home and the start destination is home, right? Now I'll create another composable over here, and for this I'll just call it forecast. Okay, because this is the forecast screen. And now over here what I'll do is that I'll call it I call the forecast screen from there. Okay, so we have this forecast screen done, and now what we need to do is that when from home screen we'll create a button in the bottom, and when user click on that button, we want to navigate to this screen and show that data. So first thing that I'll need to do is that I need to pass this nav controller, and over here I'll just update this functionality to contain the nav controller. That's first thing. Okay, second thing is that inside this home screen content, what I'll do is that I'll also use this nav controller. So that's done. So once we do that, over here what we will have to update this nav controller. Okay, now if you'll remember that we created this box, right? So inside this box I need to draw a button. So what I'll do is that I'll just create a button, and that is going to be something like this. Okay, so it have this bottom alignment, it has a padding, and along with padding what I'll do is that I'll add let's add some height, and for height let's just use 48 dp. Okay, and other than that we will need is that we'll create a shape for that, and colors. Okay, so for color what we will do is that we'll use button defaults dot button colors, and then background is going to be white, right? And inside that text we will basically update the text color to be black. Okay, so this is like a little bit of change in the design. And then over here you see that I'll just rewrite this, is that basically if you want to, when user click on that button, you want to navigate, you'll just do simple and then you'll define this route. This route is basically this key that you add over here. So if I add something else, you'll have to use that over here. So that is basically the graph that basically maps everything. Okay, so that's pretty much it, I guess, for the first implementation. And now let's just try to run this and see if the emulator is basically able to get that data for us. Okay, so it just ran, then it asked me to give it a permission because this is running for the first time. Now I'll just wait for that loader to complete, hopefully. Okay, now you see I have this thing. The only problem over here is that this forecast button is going to side. I want this in the center of screen, but other than that, the thing is looking good. But now what I'll do is that I'll click on this and we'll land on this specific screen. This is the another screen that we have. And now let's hope that it will fetch the forecast data without any issue for us. Looks like something is wrong. So what I'll do is that I'll just try to run and see what exactly is wrong over here. And how am I supposed to check that? Okay, I know what is wrong. In this specific section, we are not calling this get forecasts. So we need to call that there before we use it. So over here in this section, once the everything is set up, ViewModel is set up, what I'll do is that for the first time when it's being used, we will be calling that. So now that is also needed. Before, without that it won't work. And also we want the button to be like covering the full screen rather than just going to the sides. And for that what I'll do is that I'll use fill max width. Okay, that's also needed. And now just rerun this. Okay, now it's loading. Now you can see this button is like fully covering everything, and then when I click on this, it should load for a while to fetch the data. And once the data is like retrieved, it throws an error saying error occurred. Definitely look into that and see what problem there is. One possible solution to identify that is that when we have this exception, we'll print that so that we know what's wrong. Okay, so we'll just add this stack trace in the exception section so that I can get some logs, and then from there we can identify what's wrong with it. One possible reason is that there are some variables that are coming, but they are actually not available in that response. So we are expecting those, so we need to fix that. But let's see. I'll just click again, and now I'll go to the logcat, and hopefully, okay, now we got this. Okay, so now it says that these things are required with the serial name inside this system, but they were missing. So which means that if I get over here and you see these are the objects over here, we have defined that they should be coming, and there are no default values for that. So, and somehow the response doesn't contain these, so it basically fails. Okay, so now I'll add this and then I'll rerun the code. This time I'm pretty hopeful that this will work. Okay, now we got this, and now if I open that forecast, hopefully this time we'll get the data. Something else also failed, and that is inside this forecast, rain is required for some serial number, and it was missing as well. So we need to fix that as well. Inside this forecast, we have this rain. Somehow everything, let's just make everything like this because those values that we are not sure about should be added this way so that we don't like end up with issues like this. So I just added some like null into these, and then now let's see if this works. Now I'll just use this again, and hopefully this time it will show me the data. And now you can see that we got this data, right? We have this date, and that is another date, and over here we have these values along with the date. So probably what we wanted or not. I guess that's what we wanted. I'm not wrong. If I go over here, group data is going to be returning this list of forecasts for that. Yeah, I guess that's what we need. I just want to check why we only got one data, like we only have this date and this temperature. We don't have anything else. We should have at least 3 to 4 items, and that could be that basically maybe uh, we have the date and time basically is supposed to end, so maybe it's because of that. Let's see. Okay, now when I have this, we have this, sorry, we have this group data, and you can see that the day 21 only have one, so that's why basically it's not showing anything, and that's pretty probably why it happened. So I guess we are good now. Everything is in place, and now let's just implement our design. So if I go to the Figma design that I have, what I need is that I need this data. Okay, so let's just get started. So the first thing I want in this whole screen is that I want this screen to be uh, like the one I have already, like the bluish. So I'll get over here, and then what I'll do is that I'll use background, and for background I'm gonna use brush. Okay, and for that let's just use this. Just make sure the color code that I have is correct. So that is the color code 1, and that is the color code 2. Okay, so these are the correct color codes that I have. So the first thing is done, and along with that, what I want to do is that I want to add some system bar padding as well. And now once that is done, the second thing over here is that I need to create a raw. Okay, and that raw should be modifier fill max size. Okay, and over here it should say, what should it say? It should say back. I guess this looks we need to like implement it slightly in a different way. So what I'll do is that I'll just use an icon button over here. Okay, and rather than using this, I'll just create an icon over here along with the vector. Okay, and over here what we will do is that I will use icons dot default dot arrow back. It's basically currently uh, deprecated, but let's just use this. Okay, and then over here what it will do is that it will get back. So over here we need this nav controller as well, and once the nav controller is available, we'll just create nav controller dot pop backstack. Okay, this means that it will get back to the previous screen. Now that is done, and once that is done, what do we have? What next do we have is we need to create this date for today. So basically that is going to be the date that we want. So let's just get over here, and then over here what we'll do is that I'll create another raw, and that raw, or sorry, let's create a box. Let's create a box, and that box is going to be modifier dot fill max width, and then we can add some padding to it, and that is going to be 16 dot dp from each side. Okay, and now over here we will add daily forecast, and we'll say modifier dot align, that is going to be center start. Okay, and then the next thing is going to be text, and that is going to be the date of our daily data. So what I'm gonna say, the daily data dot get index dot 0 dot dt text dot split, or just not, let's just not split it for now because I want to show you how it will looks and then we can fix it. So that is one thing, and then we will show the lazy row. So I'll just run this again to see how it looks once we implement all these changes. Okay, this will also require a nav controller since we added it to the forecast screen. So now let's just see if what we want to do is actually working. I just want to do one more thing, and that is probably to directly open this screen rather than using that one. Okay, we do have this, we have a background, but not sure why, where is the other data? Okay, everything seems to be okay. Sorry, this is fill, this should be fill max width. Okay, that's one thing. And also I just want to do one more thing so that I can test these things directly, and that is basically I'll use the start screen to be this one. Okay, I don't want to start it with the previous screen and then coming to this screen again and again. So let's just use directly this forecast. Now a little bit of things that are messed up, we'll get those fixed. Now you can see we have this daily forecast over here, and then this section over here which is looking really weird because this date doesn't looks good. We need to uh, fix that. So I'll just get rid, for now what I'll do is that I'll just get rid of this time with it, and it will just show me that date that I have. So let's just get back to this, and the first thing that I'll get rid of to fix things is that this section should not be there. Secondly, this will go over here, and this is going to be the start. Okay, so horizontally it will be start and vertically should be center. That's also, it will take this the stuff to the center. And now for loading, what I'm gonna do is that I'll call it modifier dot fill max size, and then over here will vertically arrange center and then horizontally alignment center as well. Okay, so that is another thing, and then we will have this content. So now if I run it, hopefully this time the back button will go to the top left corner, and then we'll also have the text looking proper as well. Now you can see things looks much better. And then we have this daily forecast to the top, and now let's just fix a couple of more things, like changing the design of this color because we want everything to be white. So let's just get started by doing with this. So just get color white, and let's just copy this same property and add it to every text that I have. Okay, and now over here we also need to split that. Okay, and we will use the 0th index only. For this also use this. For this we will definitely change the design for this, but for now we should do something like this. Okay, so that is one thing done. And the second thing is that for our raw item, I'll just create another composable over here, and let's make it a composable. Let's call it for forecast row item, and it should contain something like this. So in terms of design, if we look into this, on top we have the temperature, then we have a image in the center, and then we have this time. So let's just do that. And to do that, we will do is that we'll create a column, right? And that column should be vertically, arrangement should be center, arrangement center, and then horizontally. So basically that's one thing. I want to keep things in the center, and then over here I'll add this. Okay, Now you can see that we have this data text. We need to split text, and this time what I want is that I need the end of that, that like the second part of that specific, right? And what also I want is that I want this image to be the top one. And also I'll create another image, and then we'll call it painter resource, and let's just import this, and that is going to be res dot drawable and dot for now let's just use IC Cloud, because I have just only one image for now that is available, and that's pretty much what we have. Maybe we can add some alignment and stuff to that. So like I can add some spacer to this, something like this, over here to this as well, and modifier dot padding 88 as well. So this is going to be the first item that I use for forecast. So where is that lazy row? And now I'll just get rid of that, and over here I'll just pass the data. So that is the first section. Now let's just run it, and hopefully once we apply those changes, we'll see a little bit of improved design. Okay, now we have like temperature daily forecast looks like this, and then something like this. Now we need to improve the um, improve it a little bit more. Like we need to have more spacing to this. So if I like completely select this is basically a 155 height, and then they are equally spacing, like the spacing is equally. So I'll get over here, and I'll just do one more thing, and then I'll add is that I need to add some height, 155 dp. Okay, and vertical arrangement should be spaced evenly, so that every item have their some spacing between them. Okay, looks good. Second thing is that this forecast is also small, so I'll just add some font size that is greater, so something like this, right? And we also want this to be, font weight is going to be bold as well, so something like this. And we'll also use this bold for our weekly structure as well. So this is the first section, and now over here we need this, but before that we'll also add some spacer, so that it just leaves some space from everywhere. And this lazy column, once it completes, will show also this line. Okay, so the next thing is that we need to create another composable, and what we will do is that we'll call it forecast column item. Okay, and this is also going to be the forecast that it shows, but this time this is going to be a raw. Okay, and that is fill max width. Okay, we don't need this. For height, we don't need the height as well, and that is going to be vertical, sorry, it is going to be horizontal arrangement and vertical alignment, center vertically. Okay, so that's one thing. Second thing is that if we look into this, we also again have everything. We need the date be in the start, then the image, and then temperature, right? So let's just do that. The first thing is that we need a date, so I'm just gonna use this to be over here, and then that is going to be the center. Okay, and now we need the date, so I'll just use the first part of that date, and then along with like this, what we will do is that let's just use it properly. So I'll just use this and then to int. Okay, and along with that we will use the degree symbol. Where is that degree symbol? I don't know. Let's just call it centigrade. Okay, and then we will use the same thing over here as well, so that we can have some symmetry into this. And now I'll use this over here inside this section as well. Let's just call it this. Okay, now let's try to run this, and hopefully we'll have something better in terms of the design, but we'll definitely have to improve it. We should get something now. Okay, I would say it looks much better now. We have the image looks a little bit bigger in terms of what we have over here. But I guess what we can do is that we can add some height to this item that we have, so that it doesn't, that is going to be 60 dp. So if I add this height to this, it will separate it out. And now you can see that we have this thing. One problematic or maybe one issue right now could be is to like break these, so like we don't show the we only show this thing, right? But we want, like, if what if we want to show something else, and how can we do that is that we can maybe remove the last three item of it. So like every time the string is used, we can maybe use just the first five items and then not use the rest of them to have something looks better. Okay, so one more thing that we can do is that we can remove this suffix to this, and let's just use something like this for now. Sorry, since we know that the last three item, like last three character of that string is going to be this, so we can just get rid of those to have a better result for what we have. And if I go to some other country, let's say United States. So I've just updated my location. Okay, and one more thing that we can do over here is for this specific thing, because we don't want that uh, start of the date. So we can maybe do something like, once we have that, we can just use drop, and we can define how many number we want to drop. So like the first five I want to drop from this, and that is going to be 1 2 3 4, so that only we get this 90, like the month end. So let's just see if now you can see that we got this 921 922 23 24 25 26, and then one more thing that you can do is that based on like whatever the data that we have, what kind of description or like icon that we can use, you can definitely use that as well. Let me see, let's say if it's raining, we'll use this icon. Okay, so let's just export that. I'm gonna call it icy rain, and there is of sun as well. I'll use this so that icy sun, and that's it. Okay, now I have these images I've created. I have those images that I downloaded. I have already the, for cloud I do have the cloud, and for rain and for sunny, I'll just go to this compose section, and then over here I'll just paste the draw inside this. Now you see I have this, and just rerun this specific for one time, and once that is done, maybe we can create a view model, or maybe just a simple static function that is going to be function get image, right? And what it should give is that maybe it's if that is also a string. Okay, so if data contains rain, I'll just do one more thing. I'll just lower it so that don't miss anything. Else if contains cloud, else if contain clear, else if, or I guess just do it this one so that in okay. And now over here what we will do is that we'll call it res dot drawable dot ic rain in this case. Okay, and in this case that is going to be ic cloud, and for this case we'll do is that rc dot sun ic, sorry, r dot drawable ic sun. Okay, what do we miss? Okay, sorry, we need to change it to drawable resource as well. Now we know this, and now what we will do is that rather than using this we will use this, and inside that what I'm gonna do is that I'll go to data dot that is going to be what weather, and that is going to be weather dot get or null, that is going to be 0 dot main, and else we can just send an empty. Okay, so it will just try to get some sort of data from that, and then in case it is available, if not, it will just return that as an empty. And we can use the same for our column item as well, like this, so that we don't show this only one icon. And inside our home screen, you see we have this big image that we show when we fetch data, and then this is right now it's just show. We can use this for this as well. And there is a little bit of change for this section because over here the data is different. So what I'm gonna use that, I'll go weather dot weather get null, and then I guess this should be done. Okay, so I've just added the image implementation for that, and now I'll just get back to my home because that's how we want to execute the app flows. Now let's just run the code on Android first, and then we'll rerun it on once we run over here, I'll just rerun it on iOS as well. So okay, so this is basically how it shows. It shows that it's like 11 degrees right now. Now let's go to forecast, and inside forecast you see we get this 9 degree, and then we have these other stuff as well. Then somehow the images looks really small, and that's probably that the image size that I have is quite small as compared to IC cloud image. So we need to fix that maybe. So what we can do for that, to fix that, maybe we can like give a proper image size to it. Like right now I can see it's a 60 by 60 image. So let's just add that straightforward. So over here, this is the image. We don't have any size assigned to this, and what I'm gonna do is that I'll assign a size to this. So dot size, that is going to be 60.dp, and content scale should be fill bounds. Okay, this is going to be the same for this one as well. Okay, and now let's just try again. Hopefully this time it won't look that bad, and it will adjust according to different sizes, that different section that we have. Okay, I have this, say that there are some clouds, and now when I go to the overcast, looks like this. And that's probably, we have this, the image sizes that I have are quite small. So one way is that we can maybe get some other images. And that's because the images inside this Figma file are not correct. So if we fix that, we can get something much better. But for now, let's just use this IC cloud image for all of them so that it doesn't look bad. And yeah, and now I guess that's that should be pretty much it. You can add images based on different weather designs that we have, and I have shown you how you can do it. It's just that I don't have any images right now, and this video has like it have become quite long now. So what I'll do is that I'll try to wrap this up, and now this is the forecast, this is the total design, and now I'll just run this on our iOS as well. So let's just rerun this on iOS, and hopefully we'll have something similar for iOS as well. Okay, now this IFN simulator has already run, and we'll just wait for that so that it fetches the data. Okay, now you can see we got something like this, and when I click on forecast, it takes to another screen, and over here it looks like this. So I guess now you can see we have implemented the both forecasts for Android and iOS. We have used almost everything commonly for both Android and iOS, and both are running pretty much exactly how we wanted. And that's it for this specific project. I guess what you can do as a task, this is a challenge for you guys, is to add some more images and then use those images properly based on whatever the date is. And yes, I'll see you in the next video. Our next KMP project is going to be a travel app. That is also a really exciting project that we'll be doing. So I hope you like the video and like this series. So please don't forget to comment your feedback, and if you have any suggestion, and don't forget to like the video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel till yet, please do subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. So till then, have a great day. Happy coding.